Today's book of the week, The 4 Pillars of a Man's Heart, Bringing Strength into Balance by Stu Weber. This right here, must read. Top 10. Well, if you look at it, I've read this book, you can tell, probably 25 times. It's that good. And every time I read it, I get something uniquely different out of it. And so it's a book that every male, I don't care what their age, should read. Because we're living in a society today where there's so much gender confusion. You have women acting like men and men acting like women. We've switched roles, and it's impacting our relationships, our families, our communities, our nation in a tremendous way. And so while many of us are on a quest for significance, it is important that we don't mess up people's lives in the process of trying to discover who we are. And so this book really does a phenomenal job of really sharing, what the true heart of a man is. Because there's a difference between being a male and a man. A male is determined by what you have in between your legs. A man is determined by what you have in between your ears. So it really speaks to your mind. It really speaks to your decision making, your level of responsibility, your maturity. But in this book, Stu Weber really breaks down what he considers are the 4 pillars of a man's heart. Now, when you think about pillars, or when you think about studs in a wall, every building, every structure is held up by studs, right? Or pillars, that if you were to knock along a wall, you can actually feel where the pillars or the studs are. Now, if those studs that uphold this particular structure were to tip either to the left or a little bit to the right, the entire structure comes down. And what happens is when we as men are out of place, when we're not in our rightful position, and we tip a little bit to the left or lean a little bit to the right, what happens? Everything around us is destroyed. Our families are destroyed, our communities are destroyed, our nation becomes destroyed. And that is the reality that we're living in today. So let's quickly go through these 4 pillars. He identifies it by saying that the first pillar of a king, the first pillar of a man is that of a king. And a king is given vision in order to provide. It was T.E. Lawrence who said, all men dream, but not equally. Those men who dream at night in the dusty recesses of their minds awaken to find that it was but vanity. But those who dream by day, these are the dangerous ones, for they dream with their eyes open to make sure that their dreams come true. So you've got to be like a dangerous man who begins to dream with his eyes open. It's almost like being a daydreamer. There's many great men in this earth now who are passed away, and still some who are alive, who are visionaries, who are dreamers. We know that Dr. King was a dreamer. Gandhi was a dreamer. But they were visionaries. And a visionary is not just a resident of the present, but they're a citizen of the future. They have the ability to see 5, 10, 15, 20 years beyond their present situation and beyond their circumstances, not just for themselves, but for those that they represent. And that's what a man is. When you speak to women, all they want is a man with a plan. A man who's going to do something, a man who's figured it out, a man who's gotten vision from on high that then brings it back to the family and shares with them the direction that the family is going to go in. But if you're dealing with a man who ain't got nothing, who ain't doing nothing, who's sitting on a couch somewhere, eating bowls of cereal, watching cartoons, smoking weed, just doing everything that is non-productive, then you don't have a man who has the pillar of a king within him. Or he has it within him, but it's just leaning a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. So a king is given vision in order to provide, giving provision for the family. And that's ultimately what our main role is, or one of them, as we transition. The second pillar is the pillar of a warrior. Now, interestingly enough, a warrior is given strength in order to protect. Now, most men watching this video would assume that the strength that I'm referring to, or the book is referring to, is a physical strength. And as a result, you see many of us who go to the gym, and so we believe that our manhood is wrapped up in how many muscles we have, and how big we can be, and how strong we can become. And though that does represent a form of masculinity, it doesn't stop there. When we're talking about being a warrior, and protecting our wives and our families, it's just not a physical protection, but protecting their hearts, protecting their minds, protecting their vulnerabilities, protecting their insecurities, protecting their faults and flaws so that the world cannot see them. It's taking a shepherd or leadership role over their entire lives, soup to nuts, head to toe, and being that rock, being that pillar that they can rely on. That is what we mean about being a warrior. Strength is not just physical, but really we're talking about the strength of the mind. But there's so many weak-minded, soft-minded men in society today, and as a result, they've taken a back seat, and now their women are leading and running and ruling their domain. That's a problem. So that pillar of a warrior needs to be erect in that man so that he can take his rightful place. The third pillar, the pillar of a mentor. A mentor is given wisdom in order to teach. I can't tell you how many men I meet who hate to read. I mean, listen, nobody's requiring you to read the Britannica Encyclopedia, but pick up a magazine, read an article, read a blog, watch the news, be engaged in social affairs, political affairs, know what's going on in the world. Do something that gives you a level of expertise in a particular field so that now you become a person of value. But if the only thing that you know are cars, sports, and the things that are easily identified with men, then you are not as valuable as you can be to the society, let alone those within your own home. So a mentor is given wisdom in order to teach. Now, let's talk about the mentor for a second. Because some of us believe that, you know what, I don't need a mentor in my life, I'm good. I got it. And as men, we're wired in such a way to believe that we can figure it out, that we're the ones who are supposed to have the answers. So I'm not going to no other man or another woman to get what I already know that I have on the inside of me. But let me tell you something. Listen, this is what I say. Every man needs a man. Every man needs a man, because in your upbringing, you may have had the best example on the planet. I had a very good father, a very good mother. I had excellent examples in my home. But my understanding, right, and my perspective of manhood is one-dimensional. It's shaped by my father, who I looked at, who I modeled. Well, guess what? We all have different upbringings. We all have a different expression of manhood because we have different experiences from the time that we came out of our mother's womb to our present day. And so when you surround yourself with other men who become mentors in your life, you glean from their expression of manhood, thus making you more complete as a man. So whether your mentor comes in the form of someone who's twice your age or half your age, it doesn't matter where it comes from. If there's wisdom that can be learned, knowledge that can be gained, then you should always be in the mode of being a student, because the best students become the best teachers. So find yourself a mentor, because when you find a mentor and you model what they are mentoring, you then walk in the full manifestation of who you're supposed to be, and then you can become a mentor to others. I learned about this law called the Law of 33. And it says that 33% of the people who are in your life should be lower than you, because it's your responsibility to help pull them up. 33% of the people who are in your life should be considered your peers, right? Positive reinforcements, iron sharpening iron, individuals who keep you on task and keep you on path. That is important. They become your accountability partners, right? And then 33% of the people in your life should be higher than you. People you aspire to become, things that you're striving for. And as long as you have people in your life in that particular proportion, you're always growing for your own benefit, but now there's accountability, right, for others' benefit. So being a mentor is critical when it comes to your woman, when it comes to your children, your home, your community, the nation, the world. The fourth pillar of a man is the pillar of a friend. And a friend is given love in order to connect. This is huge, because as men, we're taught that we're logical and that women are emotional. And in many respects, that's absolutely true. But I think that the misconception is that somehow women are more emotional than us. The reality is, when you look at the studies and the statistics, men and women have the same number of emotions, but we express those emotions differently. That's the difference. Now think about it. Rage is an emotion, right? Anger is an emotion. Hot-headedness is an emotion. The ability to go from 0 to 100 real quick, that is our inability to manage our emotions. And when you think about a lot of us as men who are in prison today, a lot of us are in there because we weren't able to effectively manage our emotions. And in the blinking of an eye, the snap of a finger, a moment's notice, we react. And when we react like that, sometimes everybody who's in our circumference feels it. So the proper management of your emotions, or the ability to tap into your soft emotions, because if there are hard emotions, as I just articulated, there are also soft emotions. Being gentle, being vulnerable, being transparent, expressing love, having the ability to what? Forgive. It's so interesting. I counseled a gentleman some time ago, and we were talking about this whole issue of forgiveness, and he said to me, you know what, it's just hard for me to forgive because when I think about forgiveness, it just seems like a feminine concept. And so as a result of that, being a man and being macho and masculinity, forgiveness was not in his genes, so he thought. And so if we're walking around with this type of perception and conception and false sense of reality, it can really impact us as individuals and have a tremendous negative effect on our relationships. It's just like, listen, we're getting into relationships with all types of people. And so it's important that we learn how to tap into our own emotions so that we can begin to emotionally connect with those who are around us. So when you realize that you are a vessel of love and you are meant to connect, everything begins to change. These 4 pillars, the king, the warrior, the mentor, the friend, are critically important. And not one is better than the other, but they all are essentially and equally important. Now, when you have these 4 pillars that are erect, once again, the marriage benefits, the family benefits, the church benefits, the community or the nation benefits. Listen, this book, literally, is a book that I read continually. I would highly recommend, if you are a man, you get this book. If you are a woman watching this video, get this book for your man. Get this book for your son to give them the foundation that they need. There's too many strong women in society today, and most of you are strong because you've been forced to be. You're strong because there were no examples of men in your life that represented strength. This is an opportunity for them to get a better understanding of what it means to be a true strong man, not just physically, not just your outward appearance, but your inner character and your inner being. The 4 Pillars of a Man's Heart, Stu Weber. Get the book.